Shocking new developments tonight. Last March, these two men, one an Aurora police officer, the other a parolee on the run, came face to face. Naeschylus Vinzant, who was unarmed, was shot and killed. Today, the officer who shot him was cleared of any possible charges. Lance Hernandez is in Aurora tonight, and Lance, it all came down to a grand jury's decision.
Eric, the special prosecutor said a grand jury was appropriate in this case because of all the inconsistencies. Now, those grand jurors saw an email from a sergeant involved in a previous arrest of the suspect who reportedly told police that if he had been armed with a gun, he'd have shot it out with him. Now, those grand jurors were able to question 24 witnesses in this case at length.
This is an extraordinarily traumatic event, and it took place in such a short period of time.
Special Prosecutor Peter Weir says it only took 5 to 7 seconds from the time Officer Paul Jaroth got out of his truck to the time he fired at the suspect. Weir says this was an ideal case for the grand jury because of discrepancies about the suspect's hand movements. Some witnesses said Naeschylus Vinzant had both hands in his pockets. Others said he pulled his right hand out.
However, was that as a result, was that before the shooting, at the time of the shooting, as a result of the shooting?
Weir also said there was a discrepancy about whether Officer Jaroth stated that his gun went off by accident.
There was some statement to the effect that it was an accidental discharge, but what's not clear is whether or not Officer Jaroth said that or if that was what was heard and interpreted by the officer that was with Officer Jaroth.
Aurora Police Chief Nick Metz says now that the criminal process is complete, his department will conduct an internal review. I asked if Officer Jaroth did anything against department policy.
Until I can see the whole case in its entirety, I can't answer that question. It would be very premature on my part.
Now, the family of Naeschylus Carter Vinzant sent out an emailed letter a little bit earlier today saying they were deeply saddened by the grand jury's decision. They said Naeschylus was a beloved member of their family and didn't deserve to die, how or when he did. In Aurora, Lance Hernandez, Denver 7.
All right, thanks, Lance. And this shooting happened in Aurora, but the district attorney, George Brockler, who normally prosecutes cases in that jurisdiction, made the decision to give it to the district attorney in Jefferson County. He said because of the theater shooting trial and Officer Jaroth's involvement in saving victims that night, he had a conflict of interest.